If I've talked about more than once here on the show, All In with Bryan Weatherford, I really enjoy talking to creative types, probably because I'm not one myself. Today we're going to talk to someone who's not only studied art, she's in the business of art, and the business that she is in actually helps other artists to help with their businesses as well. It's just a genius thing today, and I'm so happy to share her story now. Her name, by the way, is Whitney Rosenson as the guest, and the name of her gallery, her company, Art Dimensions, Inc. Whitney, welcome to the show today. How are you?
I'm really good. Thanks, Bryan.
Well,
How are you?
thank you so much. I mean, it's just fascinating looking at the notes today. One thing in particular I'll get to in a minute. But let's back up just a little bit and reviewing the notes. You actually went to school to study art, but going back before that was little Whitney back in the day. Were you always into art yourself?
Um, I was. I mean, in nursery school and grammar school, I was really into art and painting, and I've taken some drawing classes. But I would say my love for art came from my mom. She was a big art collector, so I grew up around a lot of art, and I loved it.
Oh,
So
I mean, we all love it. And the fact that you actually dabbled in it, I'm guessing since we focus on contemporary art, maybe back in the day you didn't stay in the lines as much as others, but that's okay because that leads to the contemporary art. Talk to me quickly, and I read the notes, but I want everyone to understand. Talk to me about your mom starting the company and the fact that it's yours now.
sure. My mom passed away in 1998, but she started the company in 1988. And she had a couple of different gallery spaces in Los Angeles. But in 98, I acquired the business and I've been running it ever since.
It's when you talk about the business, this is the part I want to get to, and I'll be honest, this guy had never heard of this before. Not only do you sell art, people actually lease art as well. That's just fast. I know nothing about that. So talk to me about the leasing side of things in the art world. I had no idea.
Sure. Art leasing is a thing. And I lease to homeowners, corporate clients like law firms, accounting firms, money management firms. And I also lease artwork to TV show and film sets. So the artwork that you see on most films and TV shows is rented from a company such as mine. And it's a great way to, I mean, just in general, it's a great way to start or add to a collection affordably.
It's a really great way, and when I looked at it too, there was a little bit of a, for lack of a better word, kind of a lease to own scenario as well. I mean, where a portion, talk to me about that. If I'm leasing it for a while and decide to buy it, I may have already paid a little bit of the sales price.
Exactly, exactly. A percentage of your lease fees goes towards the purchase of the art, no matter what piece you're leasing. And it does take a little time, but you end up owning the piece if you lease it for, I think it's going to be almost about 3 years, but you'll own the piece after that amount of time.
Yeah, I just love everything about that. Have you ever run into an instance to where you lease something to a production company and somebody in the production themselves says, I like that, I want it? Does that ever happen, or am I just reaching a little bit?
No, that did happen. I provided artwork for a film called The Knight of Cups, and that was with Christian Bale and Natalie Portman, I believe. And it wasn't someone in production, but the homeowner where they were shooting loved some of the artwork that was in their home for this, for the set. So they ended up buying some of the work.
It's just funny how things work like that. All right, I got to ask the obvious question. Where do you get your inventory? How do you end up approaching artists to go with you to let you help them with what they're doing?
So I work with about 80, a little more than 80 artists, and I find them through other artists that I work with, friends that I know. I go to gallery shows and exhibitions, and I find some emerging talent that way. I get submissions from artists daily, or almost daily. So there's plenty of inventory.
Well, there's plenty of inventory out there, but what a unique way to not just to share that inventory, but to share the magnificent talents of the artists that you work with and represent. I mean, a lot of times people may not even know about it, quite frankly, if it wasn't for you. So you're out there not just running a business for yourself, but helping others to make a business as well. And speaking of helping others, this is pretty big. Here in the last, recently, you decided to get into a charitable frame of mind with your business. I really like this. Talk to me about this. You donate a portion of proceeds to various charities. What made you head over in this direction, and how do you decide which charities it is you want to assist?
That's a great question. So I can't remember exactly how I decided to dive into it, but I just felt like it was important to give back. I mean, I generally like to volunteer and give back. So monthly, I donate a percentage of the sales proceeds to a certain charity. And then the charities that I've chosen in the past, I've been doing this for about 6 months. The charities that I've chosen in the past have been ones that I've either volunteered for. One of them happens to be one that my sisters and brother and I started in honor of our mom. So, a lot of them are dear to my heart.
Well, I got to say, that is such a piece of the business. I had to get that in there because, frankly and sadly, it's a little unique as well, but it's not unique to you. It's from the heart, and you're doing it for all the right reasons. And the other thing that I noticed, I work a lot with nonprofits myself. When COVID hit, a lot of them were struggling. And this is a way you jumped in right in the middle of this pandemic and came up with this idea in your own way to help these people who desperately probably needed it more than others so that they could continue on their missions to help whoever that was. I think it's a great thing. I'm so glad we were able to get that in there today. I've got to back up, just a total nerd question here from me. Are there any, in addition to the movie you said, do you also work with television shows? And the other thing I didn't even ask, is your art strictly paintings, or do you represent sculptors as well?
Great questions. Yes, I rent to TV shows, and right now, actually, a couple of pieces are in being used on the set of this TV show called You, which is on Netflix, and I work with sculptors, painters, and photographers.
Good. Oh, photographers too. So many people don't even think of photographers being artists because they have a smartphone. Well, let me remind you folks, we all have smartphones. We are not artists. So photographers are absolutely artists. Don't think about that. And to me, art is just so fascinating to me because frankly, I could get a blank canvas and a brush, but somehow when I do it, it doesn't look like the other people, even though we all start with the same ingredients. The finished product is nothing the same. And so art is something that's been around obviously for centuries, but to have someone like you that's able to help other artists out there to get their name out there in their work and turn it into a business for everyone is just fascinating. And it's a great tribute to your mom, by the way, everything that you're doing, not the least of which is the charitable aspect. So as we continue to forge ahead and get through the pandemic and everything, will you have a situation where people can come in and see the art in person? I guess now you're pretty much doing a lot of your work digitally online. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, I can meet anyone as long as the artist is located in Los Angeles, which I would say 85% of the artists that I work with are. I can meet somebody at their studio, at the artist studio, and they can see work in person. But my major showcase is my website at this point.
Well, that's huge though, because your website's going to reach people everywhere. I can get off work today and pull up your website and look at stuff myself, which actually I very well may do because it's kind of neat to get to talk to someone, and then when I get off work, go see what they're doing. But with it being a website, it's there 24/7, so everybody can look at it all the time. Well, I just love your backstory. I love everything about it. I mean, you grew up in and around art, so we're all products of our environment. We hear that a lot. But you took it as a product of environment to turn it into your environment, strictly to help other people enrich their environment through something that this guy had never heard of. I've always heard of buying art. I'd never heard of leasing art, and I hope that others who haven't heard of that, they realize it now. It's a great way to build your art collection, if you will, or if you're just trying to snazz up a place, and it's not just residential, commercial is a big deal too. I've been to a lot of boring law firms that need to know about you so they can decorate their walls as well. Wonderful stuff, Whitney. I'm out of time. I knew it'd go quicker than I wanted it to, but we got a lot of info out there. Continued success. Thank you very much for everything you do, not just with your business, the fact that your business helps those artists, and now your business helps these very valuable nonprofit groups as well. Great stuff. Appreciate you.